Hey there students, in today's video we're going to be going over the flow of the financial statements. So the primary financial statements, income statement, retained earnings statement, cash flow statement, and balance sheet. I'm going to show you how it looks from A to Z, starting with the income statement and how the different accounts flow to the balance sheet. Let's take a look. So I'm actually in a software called Sketch here. It's a design software, but it's going to be very helpful to kind of show you from a holistic point of view how this looks and how these different statements connect together. So I'm not going to go too in depth to each statement. If you're interested in that, I have another series on the income statement, cash flow statement, and balance sheet, but on how to make those. But here I'm just going to show you the general flow of how these accounts flow together. So first off, on the income statements where you always start. You always start there when you make your financial statements. And as you probably know by now, revenues minus expenses, and I'll zoom in here, equals income, right? That's income, that's what's left over after you subtract out your expenses. Now, what's gonna happen though is once you're done, you get income, and this is actually gonna flow down into your cash flow statement, as you see here. The cash flow statement is the beginning cash balance you have plus net income plus minus adjustments, that's going to equal your ending cash balance, what you have left over. But if you're using the indirect method for the cash flow statement, once again, see my cash flow video if you want to learn more how to make one of those. If you're using the indirect method though, what happens is you actually use net income on that cash flow statement to get to the bottom, which is your ending cash balance. So that's where actually it does flow. Now net income also flows, and I'm going to copy this, you can see, but net income also flows over to what they call the retained earnings statement, which retained earnings, if you don't know, is basically the amount of money corporations keep from year to year. It's kind of like their savings account. And so the retained earnings statements over here, it's calculated with beginning retained earnings, which you start with, and you add in your net income, subtract out your dividends, and that equals ending retained earnings. So the cool part is once you get to ending retained earnings and ending cash balance, these both go to the balance sheet, and I'll show you what I mean. So here we go. The ending cash balance goes up to cash on the balance sheet, as you can see from the cash flow statement, and the ending retained earnings goes down on the balance sheet under stockholders' equity right here. So you can see income goes into cash flow statement, goes into retained earnings. Then, once you get to ending retained earnings, that goes over under stockholders' equity on the balance sheet. And then on the cash flow statement, the ending cash balance flows into cash balance on the balance sheet. And if you remember the balance sheet, right, is assets equals liabilities plus equity. That's the formula. So that right there really is the main flow of the primary financial statements. Now there's other statements involved in the the accounting cycle, but these are the main statements that you really need to know and how it flows together. I'll just go over it one more time. From the income statement, revenues minus expenses to get to income goes into your cash flow statement. You use that plus other adjustments to get to your ending cash balance. And you take your net income retained earnings, right? That's thrown in, added into beginning retained earnings minus dividends to get to ending retained earnings. Then both ending retained earnings and ending cash balance go onto the balance sheet. Cash under assets, ending retained earnings under stockholders' equity. So that's about it. That is the flow of the main financial statements. Hopefully you found that helpful. Once again, like and subscribe if you find this content helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.